Hello everyone and welcome to another random video on the internet. Today I'm trying something new, mini ifs. Weekly 10 to 15 minute what ifs with slideshow level editing and a more generalized story. So less dialogue and more of a general summary of the plot and events that would occur. So less editing and dialogue, but more videos overall. I'll be posting these while I work on bigger videos in the background. And today's topic is, what if Saitama never existed? Let's get right into it. First things first, the Hero Association as we know would not exist. 3 years before the start of the series, Saitama defeated a monster called Crablante, and in doing so saved the grandchild of the man who would later be inspired by this event and go on to create the Hero Association. So, if Saitama never existed, no one would have saved the child, and the man wouldn't have come up with the idea of an association of heroes to save people. It is possible that with monster attacks increasing in frequency, governments and cities around the world would start creating their own task forces to handle these monsters, and many of the heroes we see in the Hero Association today would likely be recruited into these task forces. But there might not be one unifying organization for all heroes to be a part of. Furthermore, hero ranks and disaster levels as we know them wouldn't exist. Another change is that many heroes might not be as strong as they were in the original. Take Darkshine for example. He trained on his own a ton and became really strong, but after joining the Hero Association he got a bunch of new equipment to work out with. Stuff like gravity machines and super heavy weights. Without the Hero Association, he might not get such high quality workout gear and be weaker than his canon self as a result. Another good example of this is Metal Bat, who got his unbreakable bat directly from the Hero Association. There are more examples, but these are some of the most obvious ones. Also, the term hero might not even be used here. I think people fighting monsters would be treated and referred to as special soldiers of sorts. But for simplicity's sake, I'll keep calling them heroes. Now we can move on to things that don't change or change very little. Tatsumaki's backstory remains pretty much the same as Blast was in action many years before the Hero Association was ever created. Blast's whole story remains the same, Bang and Bomb's backstories are the same. In fact, let's get this out of the way now, most hero backstories remain the same. They're just scattered throughout many different monster containment task forces, and some of them are not as strong as they were in the original. People like Puri Puri Prisoner might not be fighting monsters at all though. I doubt that any government would be willing to have someone like him on an official task force. Metal Bat would still likely have his private army and either be operating independently or be cooperating with some city or government. And one more thing, the Monster Association would likely still be created as they were mostly waging war against humanity itself rather than just the Hero Association. Well, technically they were waging war against the Hero Association, but it was to destroy humanity, so the Hero Association was just the greatest obstacle for them that they had to overcome before they could go on to destroy humanity. Alright, now let's get into the actual series and examine how Season 1 would change. First of all, Vaccine Man and Beefcake wouldn't be dealt with by Saitama. They'd cause more mass destruction than usual until a hero or a unit of heroes suited to taking them down arrived. The subterranean invasion would also happen since Saitama isn't there to one-shot their king. They'd cause some damage before eventually a hero or a group of heroes would take them out. Where massive changes start to occur is in the House of Evolution mini-arc. First, and perhaps most importantly, Genos is going to die in his battle against Mosquito Girl. He would self-destruct, taking her down with him, just as he planned to do in the original. Dr. Kuseno would likely be pretty devastated, and the House of Evolution would remain untouched for now. However, we do know that in the original timeline, the Hero Association had already been keeping an eye on them, and one of the main reasons Genos got promoted to S-Class right after joining was because they thought he destroyed the House of Evolution by himself. Assuming that some government out there has knowledge of them in this timeline too, they'd likely send a group of heroes to arrest Dr. Genos and exterminate his monsters. However, this is a pretty tall order, with demon-level monsters like Beast King and Armored Gorilla, as well as Carnage Kabuto, who was able to push canon timeline Darkshine to his limit for 15 minutes in combat. The House of Evolution is packing some big guns. The group sent would likely not include anyone strong enough to deal with Carnage Kabuto. At this point in the story, the only heroes we know of who could take Kabuto down are Tatsumaki, Flashy Flash, Bang, Metal Knight, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Darkshine is weaker than in the original. Metal Bat hasn't had his crazy Monster Association power-up yet. Genos is dead. Child Emperor or Atomic Samurai might have a chance though. Bang, also a side note, Bang might not even join any of these task forces. It's possible that he only joined the Hero Association because they would allow him to do his thing, and he likely wouldn't want to be part of some police unit destroying monsters, or like an army branch or something. So yeah, he might not even be in the hero business at all. I'm sure he'd still destroy monsters if they appeared near him though. But getting back to the House of Evolution, there's always Blast too, but this isn't really big enough for him to get involved. So whatever government goes after the House of Evolution would have their hands full. And after the first group of heroes likely fails, Dr. Genos might take all of his creations and move to a different location with them. So yeah, the House of Evolution would give the world some trouble, but they would either lay low or get taken out by a stronger hero arriving eventually. Moving on, Deep Seeking would kill many more people than he did originally, but he would soon be dealt with by any of the stronger heroes. Where things get tough for the world is when Boros and the Dark Matter Thieves arrive. No one, and I do mean no one, outside of Blast, stands the slightest chance of beating Boros here. And since there isn't even a United Hero Association here, it's unlikely that any big defense could be mounted quickly enough. Once Boros arrived, he would start out by devastating a city or two, and then he would either wait for a response from humanity, or he would just go around destroying cities looking for challengers. Governments from around the world would send their task forces to deal with the threat, and I could even see them making a temporary alliance and sending out all their best heroes at once to take care of Boros once they see how strong he is. And no matter what happens, eventually the stronger heroes like Bang, Tatsumaki, Darkshine, and Flashy Flash would arrive, and they would kill Boros' generals. At which point, Boros would step out of the ship and face the best humanity has to offer. And you know, they might be able to destroy his armor. After that though, it's a slaughter. Boros would probably kill them all without even breaking a sweat, and he would be pretty disappointed afterwards. Tatsumaki could last a few seconds maybe, but that's about it. And for those of you saying that Blast would show up before this happened, I really don't know about that. He didn't show up when continents were being sliced off the face of the planet in the Monster Association arc. I doubt he would confront Boros until after all other options were exhausted. Also, I wonder how Psychos would react to Boros going around destroying humanity, because that's kind of the job the Monster Association was created for. So she would either be totally cool with Boros, or she would want to get rid of him. Either way, Orochi himself would likely think that Boros was sent to the Earth by fate and to be his sacrifice, so he would likely confront him at some point and get bodied. The question is whether Orochi or Blast would confront Boros first. I think as soon as the heroes are defeated, Blast would step in, So let's say he confronts Boros first. And here two things could happen depending on how strong you think the characters are. One, it's a massive battle, with Boros going meteoric burst and having the time of his life against Blast, with Blast likely coming out on top in the end with high difficulty due to being able to teleport Boros somewhere to die. But since Boros already survived in some of the harshest environments the universe has to offer, I'm not really sure where Blast could send him to kill him. Like, I guess it's possible that even teleporting Boros into a star wouldn't be enough. Maybe a black hole or another dimension or something could do the job though, if Blast can teleport him there. Or two, Blast speed blitzes Boros before he can do anything and beats him to death or teleports him away somewhere. Again, depending on how strong you think the characters are. Either way, humanity is coming out on top, but not before losing a massive number of lives, and most, if not all, of their strongest heroes. I see Metal Knight and Drive Knight being the only two prominent heroes left, at least from the S-Class that we had in the original. Maybe you could argue Bomb would be alive and well as well, depending on if Bang takes him with him to confront Boros. As a result of all this, Blast would kind of be forced to be more active on Earth, at least until more heroes appear that would be capable of dealing with monster attacks. However, Blast by himself would be extremely efficient. He can teleport around, so as soon as a threat appears, he could be there right away to stop it. Moving on to the Monster Association arc, Garo would likely still go after heroes, but with no strong ones left, he would struggle to find any challenges. The Monster Association would likely be relieved at not having to face many heroes at all now, but on the other hand, they'd be aware of just how incredibly overpowered Blast is. I'm not sure whether they would have seen Boros fighting or not, but it's certainly possible, and they would know that Boros killed Tatsumaki, someone who Psychos thinks very highly of. So, if they know how strong Boros is, and they know that Blast beat him, it's hard to say if Psychos would even start an attack on humanity at all, in all honesty. If she did not, many monsters would undoubtedly leave the association, calling them cowards. Those same monsters would go out and attack cities, only to be insta-killed by Blast moments after being detected, further proving to Psychos that the Monster Association cannot make a move right now. So they would likely lay low, and Psychos would be doing everything in her power to empower Orochi even more than she already has. Many other monsters would likely be trying to grow stronger as well, to overtake Orochi and to eventually rule humanity, and to kill Blast as well, obviously. Garo would undoubtedly be confronted by Blast soon after starting his Hero Hunter journey, and either be killed, or, a lot more interestingly, perhaps taken in as a disciple of Blast. Like, I think he could genuinely try to reform him, and if he succeeds in that, he might want to make Garo the protector of Earth, given that it desperately needs one at this point, with all of its heroes gone. It would certainly be a very interesting scenario to explore, and I don't think it's completely outlandish to say that it could happen. After this, though, it's really hard to say what would happen. Would Blast succeed in reforming Garo? Would Orochi be eventually able to get strong enough to challenge Blast? It's hard to say, so I'll leave it up for your imagination. Sorry if the story isn't exactly finished or has a definitive ending, but One Punch Man itself isn't even close to being finished, and like I said, it's hard to say what would happen next in this timeline. And yeah, that's about it for today. This is what I personally think would happen if Saitama never existed. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Goodbye.